Hi guys, so today we've got a really special speaker. So this is Vanessa Raphaely. Big hello everyone please. So Vanessa, or as some of you know as Hurricane Vanessa, is a quite extraordinary person. She's the editor of Cosmopolitan magazine and the editorial director of Associated Magazines. So she's going to tell us a little bit about her story and maybe where she sees the magazine industry going, I think. Sort of. Okay. But either way, let's get on with it. But, thanks. Welcome. Cheers for coming, Chris.
I'll do the best I can. Okay, before I start, I have to ask for forgiveness for two things. One, there's a little bit about our family in this presentation, but we are a family business. So I thought that it was relevant. If you have to know how we operate as a business, it is a family business. And the second thing is there's a little bit of vintage, but as you guys are in Mad Men 2011, I thought you could deal with that, so maybe you'll enjoy it. Anyway, it's a fairy story, of course. And in the beginning there was a princess. This is my mother, Jane Raphaely. Some of you may know her or know of her. She was born in a little town in Stockport, Bridlington, actually pretty much in a slum, came from nothing. But she's a special person. She had both brains and beauty. And like very many princesses, she was smart enough to know to choose a South African. That's my mother and father on their honeymoon. And he came from South Africa, and like many South Africans went back to South Africa. And she followed him, but not just for him. Smart girl, got herself a big job. And I love these pictures. I think they're just so stylish, and she's just so beautiful. And when I think about her and what it took to be who she was at the time she was, I think I've been very blessed. And most of all, of course, she's incredibly cool, as you can see. Anyway, guys. So sweet. That's a good picture. She had some very scary check the face. Middle child. Attitude. But here I am, the future Ed. And here is our future MD. Now, I don't know if any of you work in the side of the business that would interact with MDs of publishing companies, but this look is actually very familiar to us. This is Julia Raphaely, listening to some advertising client tell her they want to pay just that much for inside front.
With pants on them.
With pants on them. Anyway, the future Ed, that's me, was exiled to London. So every good girl has to go and make it by herself. So I went off to London where I learned my trade in some quite dodgy places. You can see I was destined for great Pulitzer Prize-winning future. That was my first cover story ever. Yes, that child vomited. I've got to tell you, I was extremely determined that we would test every single egg, because it meant a lot to me. I think I was about 22. I hung around, these were mine, I hung around some loyalty, learned cynicism and skepticism, and a good sense of humor very early. I worked for Lynn Barber, who some of you may know as Carrie Mulligan in The Education, film The Education. She definitely gave me an education. Her nickname was the Demon Barber of Fleet Street. And I arrived knowing nothing. I learned very, very quickly. But of course, my destiny was clear. It's like a lovely life sentence. I landed up at Cosmopolitan, where I spent some time. I left when I was deputy editor. But in the meantime, our queen, now princess, now queen, was busy launching our family's first baby, and it was Cosmo. This is the first issue. It's Bonsa Annalene Krill. Bless her. I think she looks pretty cool. Listen, we like our Cosmo messaging. It's not that dissimilar today. But this always cracks me up. I mean, the mad cockeyed optimism, excuse me, of saying the last word of orgasm from one turns me on the first issue. What did Mommy think we were going to be doing for the next 30 years? But anyway, I was busy with a baby of my own. Just before I left London, I launched, London Corner. I launched Zest, which was a health and beauty magazine magazine. It's still very much alive and kicking to this day, and somewhat of a different iteration. This was my idea of exercise. As you can imagine, it was not joyful life. But anyway, South Africa was calling, and more years than I care to mention looking around this room, I returned to rejoin the family business. And this is what we are today, all with our pants on. Like I said, it's a family business, it's also a legacy business, and that to us is very important. We've got at the moment House Measure America, Oprah, Cosmo, and all their various satellite titles, digital and print. Something exciting later on this year, maybe. Not a baby in baby magazine, been there, done that. Thing that hasn't always been smooth running. We've done that, but there's something we're going to be launching later on this year. So for the last few years, as well as being editorial director of the magazine group and growing the digital businesses and the events businesses and everything else, I've primarily been associated with Cosmo, and I think we've done an okay job. We think there are very few magazines in this country that you could run without their actual cover on the cover, and magazines that you could actually call something else, and it would still sell very well. This was actually a 3-page gatefold that said Cosmopolitan magazine in 1,000 or something, or million or something. We won a big international award for that. I think they were very impressed that it was cheap. To do it, that our clients, I think, was just in order, paid for it. But that's the way we do business. Anyway, and Cosmo prevails to this day. Magazines aren't dead. It's clear they're not. This is our latest redesign, revamp. You can see we're true to the brand message, as always. The gorgeous girl in an unfeasible pose with a pain in her neck. Our message is always strong and confident, a bit mischievous. The unholy trinity of Tits Tummy Thigh. Wouldn't be Cosmo without that, no matter how modern, you just keep on changing for the new generation. But we thought it was time for a little bit of a shake-up. We thought that we ourselves had got a bit complacent. We were ready, and you'll see the final, this is the next one out. And it's got a lot of brilliant new goodies. But anyway, I'm not ready here to sell you on Cosmo. I'm just here to sell you on us, really. But anyway, so we're doing new stuff as well. And I think primarily Chris wanted me to talk about our digital and my digital space that we inhabit. It's Cosmo, I think, in a very uncompetitive crowd. Women's magazines in South Africa have not really got out there. But Cosmo, I think, has done pretty well. These are, like everything in digital, out of date already. But I've got some more figures. But basically, they're most interesting in the sense that there's no other women's magazine brand that's actually embraced it so much. So it's been brilliant for us. And in fact, out of 68 international editions of Cosmo around the world, we are one of the only 4 digital sites that are profitable. So that was a really fantastic endorsement of the business model for that.
Give you a rough idea about how some of the other magazines are doing in this space. I went to go and visit GQ. They have about 1,500 unique visitors.
And they advertise on IO.
Yeah.
They advertise their site on IO.
It's pretty crazy. So I mean, you're doing very well.
And you know, if you visit our site, you'll see, and maybe some of you have a nice friend, Chris, who wants to be online editor, online social networking editor, Associated Magazines online editor of Cosmo, because we are picky and we haven't found the right person. So this is basically at the moment being managed by a team who are spreading their wings from print, from events, from below and above the line into digital. But our desire is to take this very good basis, which we think, but it's a little predictable, it's a little bit me too, it's following the brand, it's not creating its own space. So for us, it's not there yet, but we need the right person to be that. And also, we're very, very pleased about the way we're doing in social. Sorry, what did you know? Social networking space, but social networking space. But again, we feel that there's a space to actually put someone in there as a role. So that's a very new editorial position that we're looking for. Okay, I'm not going to use this for now. We're also very busy doing all what I suppose would be considered the more traditional magazine stuff. This may have irritated you. You know what, can I tell you something? We are super delighted with it. We see it as a massive success for us. Our initial idea, and it was an idea that we tried 5 years ago. We started trying to do that 5 years ago, and the idea was that it was going to be for VW. I don't know whether any of you remember the VW ad with the drums.
Yes.
My fantasy was that we would open while it was on wheels and have that drum beat coming out. And that was for, I think, 4 or 5 years, however long ago that ad was. We've been trying to sell it, and we finally sold it 2 years ago to Cell C with a little soundtrack, which was going to be really exciting, and then Trevor Moore came along. And the next thing you know, Cape Town Girl is posting clips of your beautiful Marie Claire magazine with someone hitting it with a hammer. But you know what, I don't care. All kind of attention is better than no attention at all. So we were really, really happy about that. And we increased it because it also was very profitable. And I said to Kathy as we come in, oh my God, the margins in advertising are different to publishing your offices. We could do with some money. So anyway, this is like a little snapshot of what Cosmo does on its day as it's going along. It's really not about the numbers. We're very, very active and busy and trying very hard to maximize everything we do through the magazine, magazines in general. And this, I'm sure the salespeople show you some work. So, in terms of the social networking, this is from Mediasite's essay, ZA. It's not ours, it's not official, but he did it very kindly for all of us. And it's just to show, like, where the magazines are and how we paid some attention to Facebook. The most beautiful thing about social networking is you give it attention. It's like a friend. You give it attention, it gives you attention back. And so we were sort of jogging along, and then suddenly we started paying attention to our Facebook group. Even though, in the very beginning of Facebook, our readers had started their own Cosmo Girls fan page, and it's still going strong to this day. It's got thousands of, we never put it on because we don't control it. But it's got, and that's real fan power and support. But the thing to know is you put any energy in there and it rewards you a million times over. And this is what is indicative of Cosmo and the way we do business. You can see here that the number of followers and the number you're following. And here's Cosmo. Through Cosmo, because we have big teams on Cosmo where we actually run as individuals. Cosmo only follows 84, but it's got over 10,000 now, hasn't it? That's out of date. Yeah, that's out of date. But it is a party that its tribe really want to come to. So I also have 3, sometimes 4 children. I've got a dog. I've got a husband. More trouble than the dog. But there's something that was so exciting to me about the digital space and the opportunities. And also being a kind of capitalist by myself, I've always wondered what I would do if I didn't have to do Cosmo or Marie Claire. They're very big brand businesses, our brand businesses. And one of the things I learned very early was it's not about you, it's about the brand. So I thought, what about me? And what would I do if I had a space of my own? I've got to say I'm a little bit disappointed in what came out, because I thought I might have something to say about politics or about feminism. I thought there was somewhere that could surprise me material, but no. My biggest fan, I have to tell you, is Jackie Collins. I mean, really, that Jackie Collins. Mind you, that was all she said. But, okay, the other thing about the social networking space is you're allowed to boast of it, but not for long, so. But anyway, here's another set of boring stats. Oh, Shane, he said shit could be worse. You can't see. Actually, it's incredible. To me, this is unbelievable. This is a year in Hurricane V. I went on holiday here, moved home, went to Europe with my daughter there. And this was when I collapsed in a pile on Kirby Beach at Christmas time. But basically, within a year, it's gone from about 19,000 to over 100,000. You can see here on page views, and it's incredible, 104,000, 38,000 uniques. It's very, very strong for one girl and her laptop. Doing nothing really as you're supposed to do it. I mean, I don't know anything about technology. And that was very great learning for me about it. And it actually reiterates what we do in our business, which is care about the content. and care about the product. And you don't have, if you want to make a success online, there are a million different ways you can do it. And there are lots of mechanisms that are set up to make you be a great success. And I haven't ever been able to ask my friend Dave Doherty, our friend, many times to tell me how to do newsletters and how I'm supposed to do search engine optimization. In fact, someone from Ogilvy came and told us how to do search engine optimization, and basically I sat and looked out the window and thought, it was nice to be on the beach. But if you tell a story, if you create an environment that people can identify with, if you throw a party, people come. It's a big surprise, I thought. A lot of my friends are the kind of journalists I think my father thought I should be. So my first job was supposed to be on the Sunday Times financial page. I am an economist by trade, of all things. But there are a lot of people doing that in South Africa, and there are a lot of people doing politics, and there are a lot of people doing a lot of very good things that maybe make you look better at a dinner party. But I thought there are so many people who, when they sit down, and they sit down with their computer and they log on, they've got a coffee and a rusk in their hand, and they may as well have a laugh. They may as well have 5 minutes of smart frivolity, because I'm not stupid. But something that actually is fundamentally upbeat, some newsy, little bit frivolous, yes, but not stupid. And it just seems to have worked. I think people really are seeking a good time. It's the secret of Cosmo. She's always been the good time girl had by all. So, okay, this is probably the grown-up presentation I should have given in the beginning. But I thought what I'd do is I'd run through it, and then if anyone had any questions, or if anyone was wanted to discuss any of this stuff, if there is any stuff in there that's except for Candace Barcher and intelligent, then we could do it afterwards. But I can't even tell you how Candace Barcher is hot online. I don't know why. Maybe it's the Playboy thing, because you know it's all sex online, sex porn, sex girl. So maybe it's that. Maybe they keep on searching for her because she took her clothes off. And she's hotter than the other Candace. And the interesting thing is that what works online doesn't necessarily work on a magazine, because Candace Barcher doesn't sell half a copy of Cosmo. We were so excited. We had the scoop. We had how it felt to be in the Playboy. And every day on the blog, it was shooting up and up and up. Candace Barcher naked. And then it came on the magazine and it was like, meh. So, the Kim Kardashian, on the other hand, oh my God, I have no idea. But she's somehow, there's something about that chick that's gold, and she sold very well for us on Cosmo as well. So, first, and scoops, that's really what it's about. Online content, you've got to be fresh and new. And for Cosmo, it's a big challenge, because Cosmo has many things. But it's not new. I mean, we're 35 years, it's as old as I am, internationally. 46, I don't mind saying, that's how old it is. It's a mature brand. So, fresh and new, and imposing fresh and new on what you do when you've got a legacy brand, when you've got something that's mature, has been our big challenge. And we've actually loved it. It's been a lot of fun, revamping the brand, so to speak. So, the same thing really does work online. You have to be first in. So you've always got to, it moves so fast that you have to grab the story and run with it. And scoops, which means actually, what is a scoop? It means doing something first, unique, you. It means you have to do it yourself. You can regurgitate all kinds of stuff to create a brand, use other people's stuff. I'm not a writer, I'm an editor, I'm a curator of content. But in the end, it's the genuine stuff that you've made yourself that really drives things. Something that's unique and original to your environment. The other thing is, I think it's proven from all of our stuff, is if you build something good, people will come. It's the truth. You've got to believe in it, and you've also got to do it. Then there's the thing about a try, is on Cosmo you learn very quickly. It's like Marmite, it's not for everyone. You could go mad trying to convince someone who thinks that you're a pornographer, and there are many. I mean, I tried to write in the Mail and Guardian once. I was asked to write. Kathy was totally traumatized. Kathy was beside herself. I was practically having to hold her back. The claws and the fangs and the kind of Cosmo heels were up. But no, they don't like us, so what? They must stay in the Mail and Guardian, and we must talk to our tribe. And so what you do is you run your flag up the flagpole and you believe in it. And actually, Marmite, who could have a better brand? Because you don't have to waste with anyone who doesn't like it. it's one of the great things I've learned. So, in terms of the tribe, our tribe's a pretty good tribe. They're young, they're vibrant, and we have all of you to come about. They're fabulous, but you've got to talk to them, make sure it's relevant to them. And it can be relevant to them, segmented in many different ways. But you know, when you're doing something like, when you've got America and a Cosmo, and we have a Femina at one stage, you have to decide how you segment and how you keep it clean, and how you make sure it's relevant to those people. And that's been a great exercise. With HV, I've created a different kind of tribe, I think. There could be many other different things, but for that moment, it's the notion of fun and positivity and what's happening this minute. Sorry, is this my computer that keeps doing this again? She's not going to be an editor of anything. Neither are the other two. Anyway, I'm not fucking up this. So, listen, there are many ways to make a success. You can do it by the book, and that's fantastic. It can help you with everything, or you can do it through good content. But there's one thing you have to do. I've figured out is build a brand, a personal brand, a brand new magazine. It's got to be something which has values attached to it that are not just what it is. Because especially online, there are so many sites that have so many millions and millions and millions of people drifting past. But that's what they do. They drift. Traction means you have to relate to whatever you're dealing with. And relatability means working a lot harder at actually the stuff that makes a brand work. Where am I? Okay. Here's the other thing. I have worked in print for so long, and for the last 5 years I've been hearing that I am a dinosaur and that print is dead, and it's going. And the fact is, it might. I'm not a publisher. I'm not a printer, I'm a publisher. I don't care, because the message that I put out can go on anything, can go on a chip in your head if you want. There will still be women who want to know why the guy didn't call. There will still be women and men who bought a new house, who want to look and see what other people's houses look like. So whichever way you access a House in Leisure or a Cosmo makes no difference to me. We'll just have to pay another distributor to get it out there. But at the moment, if print is dead, I don't know where that leaves the internet. Because if the dirty little secret of digital life is that when you're talking about women, and you're talking about fashion, and you're talking about entertainment, it's print stories that provide the content. And that's something that's kind of mathematical as well, because of course everybody's just like me, they're a man and a laptop, and you are doing everything for free. And print is still set up to actually create things. This is really, sorry. Oh, is it that one? But, no, I've lost my train of thought. But at the moment, the two can't work without the other. And still, what does that message say? That if you want to speak to women, or speak to a fashion audience, or if you want to speak to someone in that environment, the best way to do it is to look at the whole picture, not just one or the other. And that has really defined our business model, is the 360, which I think I get to in a minute. This is not very good for a presentation, actually. So anyway. Okay, so print feeds the internet. Twitter's the biggest gift to small fry. We see ourselves as small fry. It's been absolutely fantastic. I have forced each of our magazines into Twitter teams. They have become their own PRs, their own marketing geniuses. We're all building our Twitter followings desperately because we see how it works. But not instead of a proper marketing strategy, because it's only a strand. And I think people get very much caught up into single focused strands, whereas actually what it is spaghetti, really, and spaghetti is a good brand. It's not that easy to turn many thousands of views into cash. I know Chris outed me and said if anyone has any nice sponsor who wants to come and sit on Hurricane Vanessa, I'd be more than happy to talk to him. But yeah, Seth, I don't know, who knows and who feels what about Two Oceans By? You know, he's my professional husband. And he's not everyone's cup of tea. And I get that. He's very obnoxious. But he is a guy who figured out a way to make it work big time. And he's building his own brand. And I actually really admire him. He is one to Will. Seth, Will Miller. One should watch him. Obnoxious as he is. Then the other thing is about the bells and whistles. You know, you'll be hearing a lot about these new beauty sites and things like that. And people, it's all nonsense. It's all one girl and her laptop until You see the figures until you can ask if there's a brand there. There you are. Until you can ask if there's a brand. And until then, be very, very skeptical. And I say that about us as well. You know to ask for the numbers and to look around the numbers as well. Like anything in life, it's the company you keep. See who else is involved. It's been incredible for me. The other thing about setting up a blog as opposed to a magazine is people, the way you really build it is through your friends. People referring you, people tweeting about you, people retweeting, and thank you to everyone in this room who does that for me, because they are, and it's really amazing. Whereas when you're in a magazine, you're really on your own. Jezebel and Gorka, anyone know about them? They're fascinating. That Nick Denton, another, he's like Will Mellor on steroids. But Jezebel and Gorka are really now having to post themselves, the only independent of any real significance in the world in terms of entertainment and women's issues and things in the digital space. And his model has been to chase the scoop. And recently, apart from redesigning his blog, what he did was pay for a picture of an athlete's penis, which got him the most incredible amount of traffic and a huge amount of PR, and was brilliant for his sites. He's got Fleshbot, which is a porn site. But it went across all of his sites, and that kind of scoop really, really works. Two Oceans Live paid for a picture of one of those American stars who was here out partying. And that was conscious. We sort of talked about and saw how can you do the dick thing without doing the dick thing. But in the end, I don't know about all of you, if you're part of if you see yourself as part of a legacy or a heritage, or you see yourself as a person who's standing here with your name above the door, you don't do that stuff. It just makes you feel dirty, so you don't. And I can live with sex positions, by the way, so it's about one's own morality, really. Big Twitter fan clubs, lots of people have them, doesn't translate. I said people want to associate with the brands 360 degrees. It's what makes me stand here as a magazine person and say, I don't care whether magazines are going to become jazz in the next 20 years, like a little niche product only interesting for certain people, like the Book Lounge, which we love down the road, the best bookshop in the world. As the rest of books go on, I truly suspect there'll be a space in the niche for the small guy who's doing his job very well. But magazines aren't magazines anymore. We're just big brands. Cosmo has 28 events, which are part of our business model. We have special projects, which are costed into our business model. We look at brand extensions. We're constantly saying this is the platform, where do we dive from here? So the old revenue model, above the line and circ, from our point of view, can't be what it's about anymore. Because you will have noticed that magazines have taken a hit recently. They really have. There's a perception in the market that there are too many of them, that they're overpriced, and the market got punished for that. What happened was, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, a whole slew of new magazines were put on because of actually a logistical problem. Mad Mags lost a big contract and had to fill their printing presses. And so they brought out, you might remember these InStyle, Psychologies, a whole bunch of magazines for which there was not a desperate need. But what it did was it made a very definite perception in the market there were too many of us. So we got a hit, and we're climbing back now. You'll see the latest ABCs don't look very attractive. But having said that, it's a recession, and we came out, and we've had the most profitable year in our history because of thinking of our businesses 360 degrees. What can we do with a tribe? What kind of parties can we throw? Not how do we fill a page on the magazine. And that's really the one thing in my many years in the business that has changed. The notion of moving from journalist to brand custodian. So everything is changing. I think that one's for the best. Another thought. Do good work. Did anyone go to Mandala? Design the conference. How incredible. I think this was a lesson. We said this. But it's just so true. I mean, I'm sure any of you who interact with us from a commercial point of view probably sometimes think we're quite sticky and quite kind of bratty and stand in your way to getting what your client needs. But it's about the desire to do good work and not to compromise ourselves out. And I think from good work comes new good things. And now looking over the career and looking all the way back to Jane, we've been rewarded for that. We've also been hindered by our pickiness and by our desire to believe in ourselves, because some of our things have been mistakes. But in the end, it's paying for my kids' education. For me, that's a big plus. Then publishers with successful magazine brands are lucky, but it all requires patience. Nothing comes easy. Someone else is going to be the guy who owns Twitter. For us, it's been a long, slow, steady slog, trying certain things, not expecting anything to come, being quite humble, actually also in one's expectations. You know, because it's been a lesson for me sitting on Hurricane V and looking at the figures and looking at the graph and thinking, I need to be paid for this. But actually that wasn't what I started off doing it for. And I think I have to, I have to believe in my own philosophy of patience, and it's about the work and about taking that track rather than looking for a quick buck. You have to find other ways to pay your school fees when you're doing something new. It's also quite surprising being online as a moving from a brand space into something that you create yourself, because I truly never know what's going to be trending or what people are going to be fascinated by or what's going to be picked up anywhere. I mean, at the moment, there's a piece called a woman is selling off her boyfriend's clothes on eBay, her ex-boyfriend's clothes. And I just did a piece, and the first thing I posted in the middle of the night, and at the crack of dawn, I wake up at 5 every morning, so sometimes I don't even remember what I posted. And this chick is now selling her boyfriend's clothes, which he left when he moved out on eBay. I was much better. I, in London at the time, with my own experience, redistributed them around to he had incredible clothes, this ex-boyfriend of mine. He had just been to Milan, and he had gone and bought Kenzo and Prada, and he had taken his fancy old suits and whatever they were. And of course, being the kind of man who cares about that stuff, he had sent them into before he had got around to breaking up with me, he made sure they'd gone off to the laundromat to be dry cleaned. And then he broke up with me, leaving the card behind, which was just a complete gift, because all my poor South African male friends are still wearing those clothes. But anyway, that story of this chick selling her stuff through wardrobe is just pumping. It's gone absolutely mad. When you go and do the investigation to see why, I think there is the notion of revenge is always, whenever I used to do Timothy's show on 702, used to speak about revenge, and those phones used to go mad, so revenge is very sexy. And so is eBay, and so is Facebook, and there is a whole Facebook group around this, so you can see how it's feeding. And then on the far, far shores of South Africa, quite far away from the story's actual epicenter, it's just pumping for me, like thousands of hits a day, which is fantastic. But people are less interested. I don't know why I'm very honest, anti-Semitism. Sometimes you just don't know, but that's also what kind of keeps you learning. You know, a creative shark has to keep on moving forward, because that's what we all are, creators. If you stand still and if you figure for 1 minute that you know everything, you will die, so it requires surprises to keep you going forward. They are also completely fascinated with Francis Bean Cobain. I do not know why, just last year and a half, always. Here's another thing, Thatchering. Who knows about Thatchering? Maybe you shouldn't know. That's the spread, you see, from celebrities to vaginal tattoos. Anyway, I don't think they're available in South Africa. Or maybe they are. There's another thing about that I've learned, and having also stuck around for quite a long time, is that the shiniest show-offiest people in the business are not the ones who are still standing. They can be the showman, and they can actually be less than they appear. I mean, Julia and I, who have been quite public in our mistakes, and you know, we've listened to a lot of our colleagues tell us how to run our business, but we remain the smallest big guy, the biggest small guy, and the only independent of any significant size in our industry, still to this day. And that's been quite a transparent process. Our company knows when Julia and I are not getting on. You know, sibling rivalry. Not very nice when you go to a board meeting and there's mommy and daddy there. But we're a very open company, and we've been very clear about who we are all the way along. And we are still standing here. But the fact that, you know, I'm sitting here and I'm telling you the smallest big guy, biggest small, no one actually cares in the end. It's not a big deal. If you're there, you've got to, if you're in the Premiership, don't come whining to me that you're West Ham and you've got to play against Chelsea. Chelsea would be quite nice, actually, it's Arsenal. You can't whine because Baker is cross with you. You've just got to get up and do it. And the way we do that is with a little bit of net and with any kind of try. We always try to go for the big ideas. And one of the nicest things that our competitors ever said about us was that we had no money and no advantage, but good ideas. And that's great. I mean, that's something I think that's really kept us going. And it's shown that you can carve out a space for yourself in an environment doing that. Of course, Baker is very cross with us. And that's what women's health is all about. But that's for another presentation if anyone wants to know that. So no one cares how tough your life is. You've just got to be, and this is a message I think for everyone in South Africa, particularly small darting fish. You know those fish that go through the shallows when you're swimming? I think that's a very good, that's my kind of role model. I think light on the feet, very opportunistic, very quick and sharp, dodging the big guys and the waves because they will crash on top of you. But in South Africa there is space for entrepreneurs who are kind of humble as well. You know, I started thinking, look, let me get my salary plus 12% and see where we go from there. Just do good work and try and kind of see where we go. Yeah, it's that see where we go from there. And it is that thing of being smart but humble and trying very hard and constantly moving and being sharp. For me, that was a kind of an epiphany looking at those fish as I was standing in the water with my child. For us, this is how I spend my leisure time, throwing a 3-year-old over the waves. I had to think of something. Another thing I learned, sorry, it's back there, is there are enough hours in the day. There really are. I mean, if something matters to you, you just do it around your salary and do it to believe in it. It's been fantastic for me. So, my mother, who doesn't know about pictures of her in a swimsuit up in front of the whole of Ogilvy, says it's much better to smile and wave. And she is the queen, and she always has been, and she's incredible. I just have had much more fun saying her, I think. So that's got me to where I am. Thank you.
Any questions?
Last year, I think, Robin Cook became the fashion editor for O. Did her blog add to her credentials?
Definitely. And it's been very interesting for us in the business because our old model was you work only for us. You cannot work for anyone else. You can only be the fashion editor of O. And it was a long fight to actually get our management to think differently around that. But from the first point of view, anyone who comes to me and says I'm a creative and hasn't created something of their own makes me feel suspicious. Because I don't want, we hear a lot of people saying I want to be a writer, or I want to be an art director, or I want to be a fashion editor. What do they want if they don't want to create? And for us it's about the creation. And the fact that there's this woman who, she's a management consultant. She worked in the city in London for ages, but had this thing that she wanted to express, had this personality that came on and had built this brand. In fact, she didn't start off as the editor. She was on Cosmo first. So we grabbed her for Style Council first. And also, to be honest, we looked at what she was doing on her blog and said, we should do that in a magazine.
Yeah.
For Cosmo, the street style. And that sense of looking at people and making them stars, just because they are stylish and they look great. And it's not, the whole magazine, the notion of magazines and journalism has changed so much because when you empower people and you give them their own means of creating, they don't necessarily want to be preached to so much. They don't believe in the old way of doing things, that there were these people up on the pedestal. And it's been incredibly humbling for the industry. I mean, Anna Wintour has got to sit next to her, and actually she's got to pay attention to Tally Gevinson. Does everyone know who Tally Gevinson is? 11 or 12 or 13, oh my God, she might have to get over the hill. But she's in the front row with Anna Wintour with nothing. So the whole business has changed and shifted, and it's changed us on so many levels, and only for the better. It's been a fantastic democratization. And Robin is doing a great job. I mean, she's exhausted, like all of us, because she still does the blog and still does all the other stuff, but it's been only good for her.
I'm not sure how much you know about your audience following you on your blog, but is it a state? I mean, is it the same as the Cosmo audience, or have you entered a new
No, I know a lot about the beautiful thing about blogs is that you know everything. Yeah, well, no. I know where they come from. I know, like, basically what they are. It seems to me that they are not the Cosmo audience in the sense that they're not interested in the same things. But they are definitely kind of young women. I mean, it seems to be where the resonance is. But I mean, if you look at the content, it's always going to draw that particular type of book. The amazing thing about blogs is you can tell exactly down to the suburb where they come from. And I've spent, I think I've only spent $700 to now on the blog, and that was to pay for a hosting site. But if you spend any more money, and you go past Google Analytics, which is for free, and the WordPress data, which is for free, you can find out pretty much anything you want. From the interaction from Twitter, I can tell. Twitter's almost easier, actually. You can see so much who they are. And Twitter's fantastic because I can see that what's following me are women like people like you. There's a lot of agency people and a lot of brand people and a lot of other journalists and media people. And that's fantastic because it's like having your own private mini radio station.
Because I would have imagined, I haven't looked at your blog, which I will do, but I would imagine that your Cosmo is your brand and it's appealing to quite young women, single, mostly people.
Yes.
But you, as a person brand, represent a different type of life, different lifestyle, dealing with kids and working and.
But I don't speak about that stuff. I mean, if you haven't seen HV, what it is it basically picks up what's hot this minute in the world. And so the subjects, I can't really remember, because like I said, I do it at 5 in the morning. It's like this. But it would be John Galliano's anti-Semitism. Is it okay to, is it really that hilarious that Charlie Sheen is having a nervous breakdown around you? Well, people find it funny, but actually it's like I said, it's like teasing a madman. Kind of, there was said that it was like Bedlam, like paying money to go and poke the mad people in Bedlam. But then it will be also mad little gimmicks and gadgets that kind of make me laugh. I'm very hot on retouching. I don't know. I'm interested in my own stuff as well. Because we've had a job to do on Cosmo to kind of ask ourselves some tough questions about making it in this new world relevant and honest and fair. We've done a lot of work around that. We use a very
What are you not doing?
No. Well, I don't know, oscillations. Oh, there you are. Okay, but I mean, it's you can see it's not really talking about children. I mean, that's really when you've had 3 of them, 4 of them, you're like, oh no, that's really boring with me escape. Even though there is a great scandal on Twitter about my child and his soccer team. If anyone wants to follow, that went on for some time. I was traumatized. Sorry.
Just on that note, on the retouching, I mean, I don't personally have too much of an opinion on it, but I mean, Cosmo's always been great because it's really empowered women. We can say what we want, which is amazing. And then, of course, there's the retouched covers, and I just wanted to know what your view was on that.
To actually go back to that Anita Kunis cover, I mean, I actually begged the Americans to give me an unretouched version. But the problem with the covers is that they are in the hands of the agents. And they are so, I mean, it's like an international treaty to actually get a cover of an A-list star. And this is actually, we ourselves de-retouched her. We took off some of the retouching. And still I look at her and I think she's too bloody plastic. But the fact is that you know, in everything, first you fight your battles one step at a time, and you do what you can do. And I need Anita Kunis on the cover, and I need Olivia Wilde. I can't even tell you how poor Olivia Wilde. She's the most of there's a Photoshop camera. Now it's one of the stories. But the Photoshop camera would be a friend of Olivia Wilde. She needs a bit of help. And she's hot of this moment, and we want her, and we need to sell the magazine. And the picture you can get is the picture that is there. But inside the magazine, if you look at it, it's very much gentle. And is it going too fast? Do you want to look at Crystal?
No, just distracting one.
Oh. Oh, the camera story. It's somewhere you'd have to pay attention to. Oh, there you go. But anyway, okay. The thing is, and also with a brand, the brand of Cosmo is for young women in their 20s, 25, who do go out with a lot of makeup and makeup.
It is a shiny, happy.
Yeah, but it's also about a time in your life when you are trying to look a certain way and you want to look a certain way. And so it's really about putting your own self in. Kathy and I, in our stewardship of the brand, put in a lot. You know, we do a lot of women in our fashion pictures who are representative. They're not all skinny models. I mean, and we don't call them plus size specials. No one else in the world is doing that necessarily. So you've got to keep it in line with the brand as well. But I'm not unaware of the irony of the position I find myself in sometimes. And you know, sometimes I'm psychologizing myself as much as anything else through.
Your title, psychology, is
Not mine.
oh, it's not.
No.
Oh no.
But I can talk about it with joy.
Isn't there a niche in the market for a title like that and it's closing down now, isn't it? And I mean, surely it's packaged differently because it was quite it looked like a medical magazine, but it was really.
You see, you know what there was a niche in the market for it, but there was no market in the niche because they didn't cover the stuff that your clients want to be associated with. So it was almost, my feeling would have been it was doomed to fail to begin with, because it's all very well saying, here's this really serious magazine for women who are very serious and who want to think about their navel and who want to read 24 pages on their anxiety. But actually, are those women going to go out and buy a VW, or are they going to go out and buy MAC products? Well, no, because they're too busy doing this until, I don't know how they go out and sell this thing. I mean, you guys must have sat through some presentations from that team. You know, when we talk about Marie Claire, it's about a woman who really is invested in the way she looks. And that takes a bit of effort and energy and focus. You know, you've got to go out and buy the clothes. And Cosmo, our women are magpies. They shop as a sport. So I can kind of get that. I can kind of stand here and say with honesty, but if you've got this magazine, so the answer is no, there isn't a future for it. There was definitely a market, but again,
It's your pharmacy company, in which case anxiety treatment stays in
but I think there are very, very limited commercial opportunities for pharmacy, for Ativan or Valiant. But you know what, luckily that's not my problem. I had a house magazine when property prices were plummeting. You know. So.
What do you think of the magazine model, like, Bomb Surf, like it's a surfing magazine, there's a few of them starting up now. The general idea is you only get the magazine if you go online and actually sign up for it. It's free, and it's delivered to your door. But from that point of view, they only print as many magazines as they need.
I think that's really stupid. Personally, firstly because I think people are inherently lazy, and they also still like to see and touch and talk and be tempted, and you need to close the gap, not extend it. I don't know, I've thought a lot of very brilliant things are stupid, so ignore me. But, and it's worth a try. Again, the other thing is everything's worth a try. But for me, it seems like the distance is too far. Maybe because it's free, it will work. But then it also requires, you guys can also help us out here, the wait and see in the agency world. Everyone wants to see it succeed first before they support it. And so a good idea needs an infrastructure to actually keep it going before everyone else believes in it. And that for me would make me scared of that. But then again, here's the other thing, is that the distribution network in this country is completely corrupt and is owned by two separate people. So it's a local brand.
Yeah, they're doing pretty well.
Then they may do extremely well. But I also worry always about the distance, about having to go and do something to get something. But you know what, the more I think about it, the more good it sounds. Maybe we should talk.
It's high quality print, lots of advertisers for it.
Well then, at the end of the day, you can have a small circuit title that's very profitable, so long as you guys support us, the advertisers support it. But the most important thing is that in this kind of shift of everything not being as it once was, people are trying new things. And I think that's incredible and brilliant and exciting. The notion of things being stuck as they were 10 years ago, for me, would have killed me. So I see all of this stuff as just incredible opportunity. And where there's opportunity, creativity flourishes, and that's what's really happening. People are thinking outside the box.
Have you got a tablet version of Cosmo in the making?
No, because the thing is, at the moment, how many tablets are there in the country?
Very few.
Yeah. So no, the problem is as well, being the smallest big guy, biggest small guy, we don't have money. So we pick the low-hanging fruits. And that's a kind of a Maslow's hierarchy of dreams.
Yeah.
That's quite high up there, because the truth is we only on magazines and digital, you only talk to 7% of the country anyway. Our focus is really on online. Our focus for that is digital, because when you look at that, the spread suddenly becomes amazing, because everyone's got a cell phone. And the rate of upgrades on cell phones are so fantastic. So it means that our tribe is getting the kind of cell phones much quicker than they're going to get a tablet, although that might be 4 or 5 years, 3 years, whatever it is.
Have you seen which cell phones are used the most when browsing your sites?
I think it's still Nokia. I could tell you. I don't know.
No.
But
I think the last time I read was Nokia. I'm not sure exactly what.
I couldn't if I didn't distrust myself so much, I would go into the thing right here and do it. But I'll send it to you.
Could I ask, you didn't do a house and leisure a month ago, you did food instead, which I missed my house and leisure. I know Kim did. We were at airports searching for it constantly. Sort of, what was the decision there? Because I know you were bringing food on, maybe that's the new baby that's coming on board. How did it do? Food's very, there are a lot of magazines on food that are quite popular already.
I'll tell you exactly how it did for us, amazingly, because our January Trends issue sold the second best of any issue that we've ever sold at House and Leisure. I think it sold 48,000, which House and Leisure is a lot, because it had that extra month. And the problem is that February and January are traditionally really dire advertising months. And we wanted to extend our brands into other things. We also need to find ways to refocus on material. And doing the recipe magazine, because that's what it was a way of, instead of just what everyone else does, is only bring on 11 issues, and just leave those, bring out something else into our distribution space and selling it. I'm not so sure how it is done. It's always hard to start something new. I'm not sure if it's the brightest thing we've ever done, but financially, in terms of the mother brand, House and Leisure worked brilliantly. But you'll see that in these kind of tough times, a lot of people only bring on 11 issues a year. So we wanted to slot something in.
Right. I think before everyone else starts running, so rapidly approaching.
Doing a Martha Stewart.
Huge thanks for coming by. And if anyone else has any questions, just email me or pass it on. But